Hi everyone, happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday today, I think. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to, I guess, another episode of my talking. Today's episode, we'll call it webisode. I'm going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to talk about um, beak maintenance. I've had a lot of people talk to me about your bird's beak and trimming. Hi, everybody. Beak trimming. So that's something I'm going to touch up on, and I'm also going to talk about wing and nail maintenance as well because I really think all three of those kind of combine into one main thing. So first, let's talk nail trims. So, a lot of birds that are handled regularly, we notice when their nails get long, they start getting stuck on our clothing, they get stuck on carpets and furniture and cages and toys. So, I really think nail maintenance is a thing that a lot of people they miss. They just sometimes they just assume that they're supposed to look like talons and stuff like that. So things like that they kind of forget about. I noticed it a lot in smaller birds. Budgies, linneys, canaries, finches. I really notice it with those types of birds because a lot of times people don't handle the smaller birds, especially finches and canaries. Like you don't touch them, so like a lot of times you don't really notice that their nails are overgrowing or anything like that. Canaries have a tendency to grow very, very fast and long. Um, Kakarikis, I know a random bird, super random, brought it up a few times today, but kakarikis are another bird that their nails grow very fast and very long. I used to have one named Kiwi. He was a really good bird. I rescued him. Oh God, like 10 years ago. He passed away a year and a half ago, I think, about almost 2 years ago. He was so funny. But his nails were so long always. Like you could clip them. 3 weeks later, it was like I didn't clip them. They really grew. So you always had to be up on that maintenance. Some species of birds require a little more like calcium and stuff like that, like female birds and everything like that, which also aids to healthy growing of their nails. So it is healthy for their nails to grow, but it's unhealthy when we leave it too long. So make sure you get your nails done. I tell people 6 to 8 weeks usually. Some birds are longer, definitely. So some birds don't follow the 6 to 8 week routine. Some birds grow faster. It's almost like they sit there and like sharpen their beak for some reason. Oscar sits there and puts her little nail in her mouth and just starts shaking it. I don't know if she's like trying to make a little sharp talon, but we fixed that real quick. So nails. I do it pretty frequently. I feel like I'm gonna call myself a professional on that one. I'm very well versed on proper nail trimming. Me myself, I like to use towels, little tea towels or a little bit of a blanket. And I like to grab the bird and actually almost cradle them because I want them to feel safe. I also don't want them to hurt their neck or their wings. A really, really big pet peeve of mine is people thinking they're really good at this stuff and don't understand how to hold the bird or anything like that. And honestly, if you clip your bird's nail wrong and it bleeds, yes, traumatizing for sure. Like there's blood, it's a small animal. We can usually fix that, but we can't fix if you hold your bird wrong. Many times I've had customers come in, talk about other people doing their birds and their birds are bruised. That was a big thing. Bruised birds, you can break their neck, you can break their wings. Like they can really panic, and it's already a very like anxious thing to get your nails done. So like making it hard on the bird is not something great. So I've actually I've trained myself to use literally my arms and my legs. I always ask, like, I would love to have extra arms. I've actually trained my legs to be my arms. So a lot of times when you bring your bird here, I'll actually cradle them properly. And I've actually trained, like, muscle trains my legs to almost like hold them, but not tight, but enough that they feel comfortable and enough that they're not gonna move around. I like to do that because then I like to get a little more close to their nail. I'll go a little bit extra and file their nails down as well. I do like to do it quick. I don't like letting the bird sit for like 10 minutes. That's not something I like doing because I know it's already stressful. So I really like to go as fast as I can, but also in respect to the bird. I want to do as fast as I can, as safe as I can, and as effective as possible. So something about the nails, if you're gonna have someone do it or someone says they want to do it, make sure they actually consider themselves a professional. And you don't even have to go to school to be a professional. I didn't go to school to become a professional, but I really truly feel like you need to be super confident. That's just me. Let's talk about wing trims now. So, I just need to take a zip, sorry, because that was a lot. Okay, so wing trimming. Wing trimming is a huge thing about birds. We have two different parties. You have the party that is very much against it, that they look at it as you're harming the bird, you're looking at it as you're taking away freedom, you're taking away their ability to fly, and you're taking away natural things. And then we have the side of they see the benefits of it. For argument's sake, I'm not going to talk about the negative side in it. I'm going to focus on the positive side to it. There is negative, there's good and bad in everything in owning a bird. I truly believe you as a pet owner need to specifically look at the case that's given to you and figure out what is in best need of that bird. Keep in mind like what society says is good for your bird. Look at your bird and look at what benefits your bird. What benefits your bird will not benefit someone else's bird and vice versa. So I'm gonna just shove the negative away here, and this is gonna be a very positive maintenance chat. Okay, so wing trim. Me, myself, I'm very for wing trimming. I think it's used properly. It can be a very effective training method to keep your bird as happy as possible, as friendly as possible, as social as possible, and just overall happy. By taking away someone's flight, you're not taking away their ability to not move. Realistically, if done properly, your bird is still going to fly. What it's going to do is it's going to limit how far that bird can fly. Normally, houses aren't ginormous. We don't have massive gymnasiums to just let our birds fly safely. We live in a house that has rooms, has walls, have windows. So we already are taking birds out of the wild. Like they're now pets. We need to kind of form them to live with us because we want to make sure that they're happy and healthy. So doing wings properly will not hurt them. Doing it incorrect will hurt them. So there is a right and wrong way of doing wing trims. The wrong way is trimming everything. I see it. I'm actually going to draw a picture right here while I'm talking. I've seen it that birds come in here and their feathers are butchered. I'm just going to draw a quick picture here. Don't mind my drawing, but I feel like there's going to be a lot of drawings today. So, with wing trimming, this is a normal feather, okay? Oh, wing, sorry. So we have the flight feathers, which are these long feathers, which in your case, most birds, they are, for a conure, they're usually blue. For African gray, they're usually very dark. They're usually different colors than the overall color of your bird. either a different design or whatever. They're just longer feathers. Then we have these little feathers right here that are right under the flight feathers. They're called cover feathers. What the cover feathers are actually covering is the shaft of the feather. Also, it's covering the skin that the shaft is growing out of. So the importance of this is it's almost like a guard. It's like a shield. So when birds lose these feathers, which is a very natural thing, they lose feathers every 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months sometimes. When they grow in, and they're called blood feathers, these things, they cover them. So it kind of gives, it's like a tomato plant, it gives just some extra security so they don't break. Because if blood feathers break, they bleed a lot. It's like putting a straw in your arm, it just bleeds. To make that bleeding stop is you have to pull the feather out. I know how it sounds. It's exactly how it sounds is how it has to happen. You need to figure it out. I would research how to do a blood feather. That would actually, I'm gonna write that down because that's, I think, a great topic to put perfect on another video because I think that's a very, very good topic. Okay, back to wing feathers. I've had some people honestly come in when they buy their birds and their feathers are cut from here all the way down. And see how close I did it to these feathers? I literally mean it that close. It's literally everything, all of it, just slice. That is a wrong way of doing it. That is not the right way. That is past negative, past everything. It's literally just wrong. That is a very immature thing to do, is literally take everything away from them. Psychologically, that's horrible. Mentally, physically, emotionally, just all in general, super, super, super horrible thing to do. I've fixed so many birds, and yes, I say fixed because I truly feel like mentally I fix them. We have to take those feathers out. When birds come in here and they have everything down, all the way down, I have to pull them out, and it's not fun. It's traumatic, absolutely, but it grows faster. You know what I mean? Because these feathers are the secondary feathers down here. They don't grow often. I would say like maybe once a year you might get them out, but a lot of times it's very bad for them. When your bird like jumps and flies, they will fall. Their breastbone, like they don't have a lot of meat on them, you know? Like one little like hard fall, you're gonna hear them, it's gonna hurt. It's unfortunate. So some birds I physically have to pull feathers out. I do them in sections because I don't think pulling everything out is proper. In some birds I can't do it. Some of the bigger birds, it's hard, their feather follicles are bigger, so it's not something I can help every type of bird. But the smaller birds, thankfully, this usually happens to more, I can help. And I think that's a very positive thing. Well, back to a real trimming is birds have, I think it's 8 flight feathers that we can clip. As a baby, when I trim my birds' feathers, as their babies, I first let them learn to fly. That's one thing a lot of places don't do, is they don't teach their bird to fly. They try to limit it right at the beginning, which is such a negative thing. You have to naturally let them fly. They need to learn. There's muscles. They just need to learn how to do that. But you can slowly take the flight away. Instead of taking everything, what I do is as a baby is I'll take 3. It's gonna limit the flying a little bit. You know, they're still gonna fly. It's just gonna take that little bit of speed away. I find it trains them to be a little bit more, not so scared to fly. A lot of babies get scared. They just kind of fly and they don't know how to stop. So they'll hit a wall or hit a window. So I like to make sure I keep it safe for them. So I still like teaching them to fly. Usually when a bird leaves my care, they have between 4 and 6 feathers clipped. I say between 4 and 6 because it depends on the bird. Some birds are very, very strong flyers that have learned that their muscles are strong, they're healthy. So 4 feathers isn't going to do much for them. They're still going to fly everywhere, which defeats the purpose of a wing trim. So for those types of birds, I'd recommend about 6 feathers. 6. That's literally go from the first and count 6. Don't count 30, don't count 14, 6. We have very few extreme cases that we might need to go for 8 of them. I usually see that done with cockatiels for some reason. Well, not for some reason. They're a big bird, but they're thin. They have really long feathers and a really long tail. So usually the longer the tail, the better. I wouldn't say better flyer they are, but definitely sometimes will require a little more wing trimming. So another thing about the wing trimming is like we don't do like this. We need to go with, I'm gonna get a green marker today with this. And what we're gonna do is, so my green marker right here, what I did was, you can actually see I've left a little bit of space between the feathers I clipped. Actually, this one I could go a little bit shorter. So let's just go like this. So just like this. So see, I've left a little bit of space between the cover feathers and the feathers that I clip. The reason why I do that is I think it's more comfortable for the bird. If you clip past that, what you're getting is you're getting into the shaft more, which is very uncomfortable for them. You know, like it's easier for them to rip, and when it starts ripping, it goes to the follicle, which will rip the follicle, which will hurt them. So we have to make sure we do it in a way that it's not going to hurt them, but it's just going to benefit them. By doing it this proper way, what we're doing is we're limiting the flying. So your bird's still going to fly. Maybe the first couple days of you doing it, they're not going to fly very well. They're going to, I would say the first couple days, think of it as like you're doing a stair challenge. So walk up 1,000 steps today, and tomorrow you're going to feel it. The next day you'll be fine, you know? So think of it that way. So sometimes they'll hold their wings out a little bit because it feels different. You can think of that as cutting all your hair off. It feels different, and you'll always touch it. So think of it that way. So you'll have those 2 little quirks. Some birds get grumpy with you, like they get mad at you. Honestly, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Just give them a treat. They'll be fine. They'll get over it. Huge safety thing. Like wing feather, like having their fully flight feathers and letting them fly around your house. There's so many issues that can happen. And there are so many people that say, oh, that will never happen to me because of these reasons. Honestly, I'm gonna say like 90% of birds that fly away happen to the people that know it's never going to happen to them. Because things happen. Sometimes you go into another room. Sometimes you are going outside for, I don't know, a cigarette, or just to look outside or take the dog out or anything like that. Sometimes you're in such a different mode going outside that sometimes you forget that that bird flies to your shoulder. Sometimes you forget that bird is flying around. What if your TV is on, makes a very big loud, and you are on your way outside, just not knowing, thinking your bird's in the other room. You open the door, the bird's gone. In the middle of winter. I've had it that one of my babies that I sold to somebody, they begged me not to clip their feathers. This was at the very beginning, and I was very hesitant on not doing that. Well, I went against my better judgment, and I said, okay, I won't trim your bird's wings. Well, by going against my gut instinct on that bird ended up flying outside. It was one of the coldest winter days. Like, that bird had no chance. Don't really want to get into any more details of it, but it wasn't a happy ending. So That is why when I saw my babies, their wings are getting clipped. It's a safety thing. It grows back. It's not permanent. We're not taking away like permanent things. It's something that's only going to last 6-7 months maybe. And you're going to have a great bond with your bird because they're not going to fly everywhere. There's so many people that have cockatiels that let their birds fly because they like it. But when it goes time that they have to put them in their cage because they're leaving, well, the bird doesn't want to go. So you're going to pick up the bird, try to go. The bird is going to fly, and I guarantee you, you're going to get frustrated. Frustration's going to go on the bird, and the bird's going to know it. The bird doesn't care. The bird literally does not care. Yeah, there's a message right here. We had an incident with Cheerio flying away once. I climbed the neighbor's fence. I had to get him off the roof. It was terrifying. I didn't like the thought of having their wings clipped, but I've changed my mind. Right there. See, like, there's so many positive ways that wing trimming can work. Something like this, you are very, very, very lucky that you were able to get them. There are so many people that aren't, and our birds are so colorful that we have a lot of predatory species birds like hawks and falcons that are in the area. Seagulls are mean. Seagulls are very mean. I like seagulls, but they're mean. And they can attack our birds. They don't have any I'm not against wing tripping. I think it's great for training. See, it can be used so properly, but there are people that do it wrong, very, very wrong. And those people, I know it sounds bad, but when someone brings a bird to me and I see the wing feathers that aren't clipped properly, I always ask what happened. A lot of times someone just wanted to save money and do it themselves. It's not expensive. $10, maybe 15 for some birds. I do wing and nails. It's not crazy. But I heard clipping young parrots don't gain as much confidence. So, to answer that question right here is yes. So, with young birds, I have formulated a specific, I kind of go on a whole routine when I feed different species of birds. I personally keep my birds longer. I am not a believer of selling my birds at 8 weeks old. I usually sell my birds about 12 weeks old, sometimes even longer. Amazons and African Greys I've actually kept to like 18 weeks old, which is now getting into like a few months old. We're at like 4 or 5 months at that point. With those types of birds, when they start flying, you have to teach them. You can't take them away. It's literally like pushing a baby down after they're trying to learn to walk. You're going to traumatize them. They don't understand what they're doing. By teaching them and slowly taking away their feathers, what you're doing is you're not taking away their confidence. They're learning how to cope with that. If you go and some breeders out there that hand feed their birds, they don't socialize them. So those types of people, what they do is they can still hand feed a bird. It doesn't mean that they're going to get the same experience. What they do is they keep them in bins and stuff like that. They feed them, put them away, feed them, put them away, feed them, put them away. They don't come out of the cage. Those birds, when you go to clip their wings, absolutely, you're going to traumatize them. They first don't know how to fly. They've never flown. You're taking away their flight feathers. They're most likely going to break a lot of their tail feathers, especially like cockatiels. Some conures, they panic, and a lot of birds get fat. So a lot of birds get fat, and they need to naturally have those muscles. So if you're doing it wrong, it's going to take lots of confidence away. If you're doing it properly, you'll be fine, for sure. There's this. Yes, you can actually make appointments for wing and nail trim. You just have to write me in my messenger, and I have a whole routine set up for wing and nail trims. Yes. So, okay, so wing clipping affect behavior? I had a tail in the past, and that was calmer when his wings were clipped. Wing trimming, when used properly, can be a great training method. So, wing trimming does calm a bird down. So again, we're staying away from the negative side of it because there's negatives in everything. So again, we're not focusing on the negative, we're focusing on the specific bird. A lot of times when people have flighted birds, their birds are more confident. Their birds are more dominant. Their birds fly around like they own everything, which they do. They're birds. They own us. But dominant birds sometimes get more aggressive. There are a lot of species of birds out there that don't like everyone in the family. I've had countless people contact to me about their bird not liking other people in the family. It happens. There's so many different reasons on that, and I'm actually going to put that as another topic because I think that's a huge one, and there are different reasons why they'll like certain people versus others that I find. So I'm going to actually write that down. Family. Perfect. Okay. So yes, so wing trimming helps aggression. What it does is it's taking away that speed, that agility, that they're all macho. Some green cheeks go, I call it square head. Their literally head goes like a square, and they get so aggressive, and they start getting so hormonal and stuff like that. But having their wings trimmed, what it's gonna do, it's gonna actually make that bird rely on someone way more. So it can't just fly from A to B anymore. It's gonna actually, you're gonna have to go pick him up. So if he wants to get there, or if he flies to the floor, you're gonna have to go pick him up, because a lot of birds don't like the floor. It's just something that they don't like. I think it's such a huge thing. So wing clipping, yes. That being said, at my house, I have some birds that are clipped. I also have some birds that are not clipped. I think it comes down to per bird and every situation, okay? So there are exemptions to the situation, but my more aggressive birds, my African greys, Boo Boo in Alaska, are my Timney African greys. They have to have their wings clipped because they get very aggressive to other people and other birds. So they'll actually go around and they'll swoop down at other birds, and Oscar does not like that. So for the safety of everybody and the bird and everything, their wings are clipped, and it's just a better experience because they are a lot happier and a lot better because I'm willing to take them out more. I'm willing to hang out with them more. They can spend way longer outside of their cage knowing that they're not going to eat everything in the house. Will my cockatiel be able to go perch on the window, or do I have to place him there? So, great question. So, basically, in that scenario, what I'd recommend is we can slowly trim their wings. We don't have to just do 6 feathers. We can start with 3. We can see how 3 works. For a cockatiel, I don't think 3 is going to be a lot, but it might take that extra speed away. For that specific case, what I'd recommend is I'd rather do less and kind of go from there. So like I would do like I would start off with 4. Start 4, do about a week or 2, because in the first couple of days you probably won't notice anything. After that, you will notice more. So I would give it about a week to 2 weeks of that 4 feathers, see how that goes. I think 4 or 5 feathers would probably be okay for flying back and forth. What it does is it's just going to take that like super speed and height away. The birds shouldn't be at the ceiling flying around. They shouldn't. They should be almost like, more like if they're flying from like 6 feet off the ground, they should kind of be able to maintain that and go down. They shouldn't be able to accelerate up. It should be like gradually going down, so it's like a soft landing and not like a kerplump, because that's not good. Yes, so there's so many wrong ways of doing it. So, and I see it all the time. And the worst the worst thing is they come from breeders. And like I've had some pet stores even do that, and it's just like it just blows my mind because it's so wrong. I've had so many people literally get their birds and then come here and just be like what did they do wrong? And like that's what happens when we have just people that want to just buy birds from. There's just so many people out there, especially with COVID and bird breeding and the animal industry going like skyrocketing. It bothers me so much because it's bringing so many people out of the woodworks that want to be backyard breeders. I'm disgusted when I go on Kijiji and I see all of this. Like, I think Kijiji is literally like the flea market now of bird sales. And I know that's so horrible to say, but from what happened to me at the beginning of COVID and my birds getting sick, I'm traumatized by most people's birds because there are people that don't do what I do. There are stores out there that will buy birds from everywhere, put them all together. There's no quarantine, there's no nothing there. They don't care what birds there is. I've been to pet stores in the past that I had to physically say something about the birds in the cage because they're fighting. And they look at me like I have 3 heads that like, oh no, they're fine, but like they're not. So really like, big story short, research where you're getting your birds from. I have not raised my prices much. Now, when the industry goes up, you guys are making everything else go up. You guys are making the products go up because when that industry booms, unfortunately, my suppliers are like, well, we're making more money now, so we're going to go up higher because everyone's going up higher, and I don't want to raise my prices for you guys. I don't want to become a billionaire from this, you know, like I do this because I enjoy it. I do it because I want to give people proper birds, and I enjoy doing this. I've worked at many pet stores, like a few of them. Pet Value was amazing, was such a great store. It taught me so much as a business, as a store that I really wanted. I liked their murals. It was a great store for me. The last store I worked at for a very, very long time was literally, I don't care, it was the worst job I ever had. I was late all the time. I'm a late person that like, it's something that I've struggled with my whole life. I'm a very heavy sleeper. But the thing that bothered me about that is I never let that affect how I sold a bird. My biggest thing was when someone come off the street and just be like, oh, what kind of bird is this? And I'd be like, oh, it's a Senegal or it's a Quaker. And they'd be like, oh, it's pretty, I want it. And I'd be like, you didn't even know what the bird was called. You didn't even know what the name was. Okay, sorry, that's off topic. I'm gonna talk about that another day. Let's get back on the topic. My blood's boiling. Let's get back on the topic of today. Last is beak trimming. Beak trimming. So I've had a lot of people, I have some messages here. Sorry guys. You're very, very welcome. Debbie, I would personally. That's up to you. You can definitely write me a message and we can figure that out. We can chat about it a little bit more. The story, yeah, right? So Kijiji, down. Even some pet stores, man. Like, just really research where you're getting your birds from. That's all I gotta say. Just research everything. Like, waiting's okay. You're gonna get a better bird. Waiting's okay. Okay, so beak. I drew another picture, guys. So please don't look at his body. Like, it's not proportion. His back shouldn't be like this. So pretend this is a normal looking bird. Okay, so as you can see on this bird here, stop laughing, it's a bird. Leave him alone. Look at him, he's cute. Okay, so we're gonna look at the blue as a proper beak. I tried to make him less angry, but unfortunately he just looks really mean. Okay, so the blue beak. Naturally, birds are going to have a point to their beak. Unfortunately, it's something that they have. So a lot of people file that down. Well, my teeth just got like all gross because what it feels like is like you're grinding down a tooth. Some birds need it, you know, some birds do not need it. Like if your bird bites you a lot, like filing their beak's not the appropriate answer. It doesn't do anything. It's just not the right thing to do. Like they have a naturally long beak, but if you see, I've used red and green to show cases that I would recommend that this would be a suitable thing to do. So, as you can see with the red, so the red is actually making it longer. So you can see where your natural blue is, but a lot of times when beaks overgrow, you can actually see where the old beak should be, and you'll see the extra growth on there. Then you have the extreme cases that even grow longer. So why this is very detrimental to them is they can hurt themselves. They can kill themselves. They can starve themselves. They can die. I know that's such a Google answer, but it's true. Longer beaks, one, can dehydrate them more because if their beak doesn't naturally close, they will leave gaps that are open, which naturally can dehydrate them more. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but it can. Also, what happens is it makes it harder for them to chew their food, move around, grooming, natural things that they should be normally able to do. Green are extreme cases. When it gets to the green, like we need to figure something out because there's probably something bigger going on. A lot of times when you have birds that grow like really, really long beaks very quickly and that kind of like go down to like their neck area, I'm assuming there's going to be some kind of issue going on, like a liver issue, a deficiency of some sort that their body's telling you that what's up. There's also birds that don't have the appropriate things inside of their cage. So, on the topic of beak maintenance, there's a few items that I picked off the shelf that are going to help you with these beak issues. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about your different mineral blocks, calcium blocks, things like this, and how they benefit their beak, but also have so many health benefits as well. So, things like this. So cuttlebone is a very common thing to add to your bird's diet. They really like to grind this down. It's very good for calcium. It's harder, so it also helps file down their beaks. With this, certain times of the year, birds eat this more than others. Usually around breeding season and molting season, birds will be known to go through these a lot more. So make sure you're always replacing them and making it readily available. Some birds don't use this. That's okay. Like, we'll put it off to the side. For those types of birds, we have other ones you can try. So these ones right here, these are mineral, not calcium, but there are minerals. There's also, in the red ones, there's iodine, which iodine helps with calcium. It also helps with like tremors. It helps with like fatty liver. It's just overall, it's very beneficial. And the iodine comes in a few different things. So there is like small, these ones have way more iodine than this orange one right here. So these ones, so iodine helps with like brittle bones, egg binding, tremors. A lot of budgies that are on like a seed diet, they get like fatty liver diseases. They get tumors and stuff. So I really, really, really tell people get iodine block for budgies, especially budgies. If you have birds that are on a high seed diet, just get some iodine. Just give them good stuff. But these also are formed to help with their beaks as well. So as they're eating these and getting the beneficial vitamins and minerals that they need, this is also helping them file down their beak. We have stuff that's a little harder. So this right here is called a beak block. So it is way bigger, it's thicker. I don't know if you can kind of see it. It is more like grainy. There's bigger chunks of calcium. There's bigger chunks of like shells, oyster shells in here. These right here actually, as other things, they just attach to the back, like to the side of your cage. You just wrap these around the bar. These are going to encourage them to start filing down too. I really find cockatiels really like these because cockatiels are little pickers. So I really find cockatiels in general really liking these. For the birds that don't eat these, because there are some birds that, like rescue birds, and some birds that, just in general, when you get them, they don't like them or they don't know how to use them. So, unfortunately, in that case, they won't be able to be used for their beak. But just because they don't use them doesn't mean they shouldn't have them. Go get a Tupperware container, get a butter knife, sit there while you're watching TV, and just scrape it into the container. Scrape it into a powder. Start sprinkling on their food. Sprinkle it on like their vegetables. Vitamins and minerals are so important for them. There's a lot of birds have deficiencies. A lot of birds have crappy feathers. A lot of birds are started off really bad. So just make sure you offer that. Good question. This specific cuttlebone does not have a hanger. These ones are just the bulk cuttlebone, so they're usually a lot cheaper. I do sell plastic clips that you can just buy with these, that you can use to hold these, but also they hold like vegetables as well. I do offer a kind of carded cuttlebone, so it actually has like metal clips on them that you can buy as well. So I do have those available. Thank you. These are actually the clips right here. So these ones, what you do is literally, so you can kind of see right here, these pieces right here actually fit inside the bars, and then you turn it so it locks. And then while it's in the cage, you just kind of open it up, and then it's probably not going to work the best, but you can kind of see it just kind of holds it there. Without the plastic, it goes like right in. These are really cool because you can use it for vegetables, millet, treats and stuff like that too. So really good to have. A couple other things that I'm gonna kind of talk about. I'm gonna put my shoes back on. I'm gonna talk about a couple of the perches that are gonna help with beak maintenance and nail maintenance. And I'm also gonna kind of show you a couple of different toys that I think would be very good for that too. I'm gonna show you some that are good for cockatiels, conures, some good for budgies. And then I'm going to show you some for the bigger ones as well, because they are a little bit different in the sense of like stronger beak versus like skinnier, like weaker beak. So we want to make sure that you're benefiting from what you're buying. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and we're going to go for a little walk around the store, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos because I've actually been able to reference to the people to these videos a lot. So I'm actually really trying my hardest to get these online, like my YouTube page as well. So you can see all of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and I'm going to show you a couple of my favorite perches and favorite things to help with your bird. Okay, so first, I'm going to start off with the cheaper ones. We're going to go, these guys right here. These are mineral perches. So we have small ones, and then we also have bigger ones. These guys right here, they're just colored. A lot of birds have preferences to colors. So really kind of look at what your favorite color is for your bird and go with that. So these ones right here are more of a softer mineral. There's some calcium in there too. So these guys right here, oh, that's so cute. Thank you. I really appreciate that, everybody. So these guys right here are formed for their nails. They can also rub their beak on it and eat this. So these guys right here are a softer material. So I would not say they're super abrasive. So these are really good for like an overall maintenance. I really recommend every bird to have a soft mineral type perch. it either being like one of these. I like offering these ones because they're a little bit cheaper for people, so it entices you guys more to kind of offer these types of perches. But we also get more specific perches as well. As soon as you start getting into like these guys right here, these guys are so awesome because it actually has like extra stuff. So there's bee pollen in there. My Amazons really enjoy these types of perches. They go through these so quickly. My African Greys Boo in Alaska, they shred these like nuts. So these ones right here have a little bit more benefit. These ones are watermelon flavor with bee pollen, which is very good for them. So these offer very same idea as these. They're just very good for them to kind of walk on. Different textures as well. They can rub their beak down on it as well. These are so much fun. These are literally my favorite perches. They're just the clams. They're just so fascinating. These are great because they can eat them. They grind their beak down on them. Really awesome. So these guys are good for like just general maintenance, giving like an extra perch to your bird's diet. These are wonderful alternatives to the mineral things that I showed you just a few minutes ago, like those little birdies and stuff. These are just more natural ways that might entice them because it's a perch, and a lot of birds love picking at the perches they're sitting on. Okay, so we have your edible perches like these two. So these ones are really good for the bigger, stronger birds. Amazons, African Greys, but you can even give them for like conures and cockatiels. So there are smaller ones, but these guys are good because it's a harder material. It's still completely edible. It still helps them with their beaks. They can file it down. But the good thing about these guys, it's a little more abrasive, so it's actually going to benefit their nails a little bit more too. These guys, you still cannot wash. So I like to tell people to put these in areas at like near the top where the birds don't poop on them because they're a little bit harder. I like to spot clean them, so if there is some poop on them, like these materials, I just use a butter knife and I scrape the poop off. But for like these ones right here, I really just try to scrape it, but I really like to make sure they're in areas, like I don't have to do it often because I've learned where they poop. So these ones are really good for that. So these guys right here, so these are a few different types that I really like. So these guys are, there's plastic on it, so it's really hard to see, but these guys are more abrasive. So these guys, think of it like a nail filer. So these guys are actually coated with a type of sand and calcium that actually they can rub their beaks down on them. They can rub their nails on them as well. Not like rub their nails on it, but as they're walking on these, their nails are actually touching they're touching all of this. So as they're walking on it, they're naturally grinding their nails down. The cool thing about these guys is just because you have a small bird doesn't mean you have to go small items, okay? The cool thing about these guys is I like to recommend to people to make sure that their birds can't put their whole hand around them. Just because if they can put their whole hand around them, like their nails almost just rest there, which defeats the purpose of helping with their nails. So if it's a little bit bigger, their nails are going to actually have to grab on a little bit harder because they don't want to fall. And it's actually going to do a little bit more beneficial things for you. Now, I do not recommend having just these perches in your cage. I'm a believer that you need to have multiple different perches. You can see the other videos that I've talked about perches and stuff like that. But just make sure you have a good variety of sand, mineral, wood, and a type of rope if you possibly can. So yeah, so these guys are a little more abrasive. So these guys are really good for, we gave it to Sarge. My Amazons have these at home. Every single one of my African Greys have these as well. I really like to make sure that they have them. I like the A&E ones personally just because it's like a Java wood, so it is just a stronger wood. But there are so many other alternatives that are just as beneficial. There's even ones like these that have a little bit of sand on them and then more of like a plastic material so they can kind of feel a little bit different. But those guys are really, really, really good for helping with their nails. I just wanted to show this. This is really cool too, guys. This is a stainless steel bell. Nellie, my white belly, loves this. Okay, so some of my favorite toys. I'm kind of just gonna I'm gonna use this time to kind of finish off kind of going around the store, but as I'm showing you the items, I'm gonna explain the best ones, like, I don't know, the ones I would recommend. So for a budgie or cockatiel, these right here are really awesome. So this is actually like a soft wood it's actually gonna encourage them to eat their wood. So the good thing about adding like a softer wood to their diet, well, not their diet, their habitat, is they can actually break this. There's a lot of things that are going to encourage them to come here. These balls being one of them. You can shove little seeds in them. You can shove different nuts in them to encourage them to play with this more. And as they're breaking this through, what they're actually doing is they're filing their beak down too. I know it doesn't seem like they are, but as they're chewing this, it does help form their beaks. So adding these ones to your smaller birds are really awesome. Your bigger birds, African greys, big birds like this will not last you long. I gave it to a pair of my greys just because I just had one at home, and I gave it to them, and it literally lasted maybe like 5 minutes. But whatever, they enjoyed it, and that's all that matters. This right here is an awesome toy. This looks like a giant toy, but it's actually just a wonderful toy. There's so many great, easy things for birds to chew on these, and it's going to encourage them to use their beak more. This is a wonderful toy for conures and cockatiels. I can see budgies going nuts for this too because of the different balls in there, but I definitely see the other species of birds doing very well with this, and it's a softer wood to encourage them to eat this more. The good thing about encouraging them to eat the wood, well, even playing with the wood, is it's actually going to benefit their beak. These are awesome for conures. Again, they're softer wood, so it's just easier for them to break. If you give them too hard of stuff, like something like this is amazing. I just love these. But if you give this to, for example, to a conure, they might not enjoy it as much as something like this. So it will defeat the purpose specifically for their beak health to get this over this. But if you have lots of these and want this is just great. It's literally my favorite thing ever. Okay, we have different kind of perches like this. So these are just like perches that you just kind of like keep kind of anywhere. Very, very, very nice. This is like a nice kind of gravel cement material. Really cute for little tabletop perches. By the way, guys, we also got our avian lights back in. Just so you know, I have, I think, 3 of them left. And then we all know about these. So these are wonderful. Things like this as well will help the smaller birds. I think cockatiels would really like this because it's more of a grit and gravel. Finches, canaries, budgies would probably do well with this too. You don't actually need gravel for the budgies and stuff like that, but they do benefit from that stuff as well. Okay, so for a bigger bird, so for like an African gray, a bigger bird like that, things like this is great. So what this is going to do is they're going to want to shred it. My cockatoo Ricky would shred this pretty quickly, but he's going to benefit so much from it. His beak health is literally perfect. Like there's not he's just so good with it because I offer him harder things like this. He would love this, but this would literally do nothing for his beak. This is super amazing for shredding and foraging and shoving things inside of this, but specifically for a beak, this probably wouldn't do much for you. Something like this, for example, even though it is a type of foraging toy, it actually adds a few different things in there, like the different types of shells. So this will actually help with beak health. So that is really cool too. I love adding these, like the wicker things on toys. I think it just encourages little birds to play with them more. And I think it's really good for their beak. Okay, cool thing about this is we're actually all out of the mini size of this. So we've actually just been able to restock our bulk bin. So for people that feed this food, you won't see the bag, but you will see the bulk version. And like, this is a great toy too. This is so much fun. Sarge has this toy and he literally is obsessed with it. He's just really enjoyed shredding it. He has the harder woods like this right here, which he shreds, and it really helps with his beak. So that's actually like the Java wood. So it's such a really cool toy, and that really, really helps with his beak as well. So yeah, so I think that's it, guys. I think I've talked your ear off enough today. Yeah. So other than that, that's about it for today, I think. I'll probably do another one tomorrow around the same time. I like to do it after 4 o'clock just because the store's closed, and I do it before my deliveries because I do like to still help people while I'm working. Other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy Tuesday is what it is, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye, guys.